collapsed to the ground, a playful defiance to halt the impending actions. She muttered, "Xiaojinghua, how old are you? Hurry up and finish my bath. I need to rest." Nanny pondered why people often spoke of the perils of indulgence, for this individual seemed remarkably spirited, never appearing to suffer any harm. During this year's Spring Festival, the Stephen Chow version of My Renyu dominated the box office, not only delivering uproarious laughter, but also subtly imbued with the scent of romance. Thus, when Nan Yi and Xiaojinghua emerged from the cinema, one expressed nostalgic sentiments while the other maintained a placid demeanor, contemplating that the Zhou-style comedy still retained its classic charm. Observing his expression, Nanny draped her arms around his neck, insistently demanding his critique. Xiaojinghua, embracing her waist, smiled indulgently and repeatedly proclaimed it to be wonderful. In this very moment, at the cinema's exit amidst the throng, they stood out distinctly, fortuitously encountering Shun Jiai and her boyfriend as they ventured against the flow of the crowd back into the theater. Only Nan Yi had her back turned, leaving Shun Jiai awkwardly uncertain whether to approach or retreat. Xiaojinghua took the initiative, greeting Jiai. It was only then that Nan Yi turned to see Miss Shun, who she had not encountered since her injury. She remained as fashionable as ever, albeit with a more subdued flair, having abandoned her once exaggerated accessories for a more minimalist style. Shun Jiai greeted them with an awkward smile. "I didn't expect to run into you." The source of her embarrassment was not merely her family's decline, but rather the countless times she had extorted Xiaojinghua after the Shun family's misfortunes, exhausting all the conditions he had once agreed to for their divorce. In their time of true crisis, it was Xiaojinghua who had stepped in to support the Shin family. With age and experience, witnessing the fickleness of human relationships, she now viewed her past agreement to divorce as a grave mistake. Yet, she recognized that had it not been for Xiaojinghua's father's severe illness as leverage, he would never have entered into that sham marriage. Some individuals, from the very beginning, are simply not meant to be yours. Nan Yi playfully teased, "Jiai, remember when we were both featured in that gossip news?" Shun Jiai had thought Nan Yi would resent her for the slap incident, but seeing her so unfazed allowed her to relax, boldly stating, "At that time, the people around me were a mixed bag. Those who dined at my table plotted against me. You cannot blame that on yourself, if blame must be assigned. It lies with Mr. Xiao's lack of decorum," she remarked. Xiaojinghua chuckled resignedly, and once again, I find myself at the center of the discussion. At this moment, Shun Jiai's boyfriend reminded her that the movie was about to start. As she departed, she expressed a hint of remorse, politely saying, "Dr. Zhang, perhaps we can roll the dice again some other time." Nanny replied enthusiastically, "Sure." On the way back, Nanny deliberately avoided discussing their encounter, instead indulging in a series of amusing jokes. She assumed that seeing Shun Jiai would make Xiaojinghua uncomfortable, given their youthful bond. She merely wished to divert his emotions. However, Xiaojinghua scrutinized her for a while, gently resting his hand atop her head, and inquired, "Are you truly not concerned about Shun Jiai?" Nanny abruptly met his gaze, realizing he had misconstrued her feelings, believing she was concealing jealousy. His delicate concern stemmed from a fear that the past might cast a shadow over Nan Yi's happiness. Each time he heard her jokingly refer to herself as a second marriage, he never harbored resentment. Instead, he felt an innate sense of guilt towards her. On Jianxi Road during the Spring Festival, preparations for the Lantern Festival were underway, with the streets adorned in splendid decorations. This vibrant scene was unparalleled, even in London. "Xiaojinghua, look how beautiful our nation is under your contributions," Nan Yi remarked. He smiled and replied, "We all have our part to play." Turning her head, she sincerely complimented him. "Thus, when you sacrifice for the greater good, I will support you unconditionally." Xiaojinghua couldn't help but stroke her hair, as if soothing a slightly grown child, teasingly adding, "Who was it, back in the courtyard, who cried and demanded a breakup upon hearing of Shun Jiai's arrival?" Nan Yi swiftly retorted, "Am I truly that unreasonable? You must be mistaken. You hold a bias against me and approach me with a flawed attitude." Yes, I shall reflect on my own shortcomings," he conceded. Yet, he could not maintain his seriousness for long. In the underground garage of Yihua Courtyard, he embraced her waist from behind, steering her toward the elevator, his lips brushing against her ear as he mischievously asked, "How should I correct my attitude?" As they stood in this position, the elevator doors abruptly opened, revealing a neighbor's aunt standing inside, her expression one of bewilderment upon seeing Xiaojinghua. The three exchanged glances for a brief 3 seconds. Nan Yi quickly straightened her posture, stepping decisively to Xiaojinghua's side, attempting to maintain composure. "Auntie, please, step outside." The aunt momentarily forgot her purpose for entering the elevator, awkwardly frozen in indecision. Xiaojinghua remained unfazed, his arm still wrapped around Nan Yi's waist. "Are you going up or down?" At this moment, the neighbor finally realized she needed to exit the elevator, hurriedly sidestepping to leave. In the elevator, Nan Yi slapped her forehead. "Oh no, Xiaojinghua, will you be criticized in the news tomorrow for your lifestyle choices?" Xiaojinghua chuckled. "If my lifestyle were truly problematic, it would all be because of you." In March, the weather in Beichuan proved significantly sunnier than in London. As March commenced, Xiaojinghua remained in the country for a national conference. which continued until late March when the country began to awaken from its winter slumber. Meanwhile, London remained damp, cold, and shrouded in a heavy fog. On March 30th, a breakthrough was achieved in the national project Xiaojinghua had been investing in. The 22nd Beidou navigation satellite was successfully launched, marking one of the most gratifying achievements of his career in nearly 2 decades. The lingering grievances from the Wenchuan incident had finally seen a significant resolution. Since the 1993 Galaxy incident and the 2008 Wenchuan earthquake relief plane crash, the development of national defense had become a pivotal anchor in his life. He eagerly flew to London to share the news with Nanny, only to be struck by a cold spell upon landing, courtesy of Europe's notorious weather. For the first time at the gates of Cambridge, he remained in the car, lazily reclining in his seat, lowering the window halfway, squinting at the sparse crowd. The cigarette he held was merely being idly crumpled in his fingers, unlit. Then, amidst the throng of Caucasians, the person he had been eagerly anticipating appeared. Upon seeing his car, Nanny joyfully dashed toward him. In the overcast weather, warmth blossomed in his heart. Nanny was puzzled as to why Xiaojinghua, who usually waited at the entrance like a flamboyant peacock, was now patiently seated in the car. She eagerly leaned in to kiss him, only to be gently thwarted by Xiaojinghua's hand as he softly apologized. "I have a cold. Be careful not to catch it." Realizing he was indeed warm to the touch, she reached up to feel his forehead and noticed a hint of pink beneath his eyelids. With fiery indignation, Nanny chided. "Haven't I repeatedly warned you? The weather in London is unpredictable. Dressing like this, who are you trying to impress?" Xiaojinghua, unfazed, retorted. "Just trying to impress those eager men around." Annoyed, she chose not to respond and drove directly back to the apartment. Upon returning home, Nani, much like a meticulous mother, changed his clothes, administered his medication, and tucked him under the covers. She cradled him on her lap, softly murmuring like one would to a child, "Take your medicine and have a good sleep, and you will feel better." Xiaojinghua found this amusing. When did it become the young girl's turn to take care of him? As drowsiness overtook him, he indeed fell into a peaceful slumber. It was not long before Chang'an arrived, maliciously teasing him with a loud voice. "Huazi, indulgence is harmful to your health. You must learn to exercise moderation." Xiaojinghua emerged from the bedroom, donning a sweater, and settled onto the sofa, casting a sidelong glance at him. "Even if that were the case, I would willingly indulge." Chang'an, with a thick Beijing accent, mocked him heartily. "But wait, I recall Dr. Zheng was unwell just a few days ago. You two certainly spread illness quickly. It seems the virus has hopped on the high-speed train." Indeed, Nani had been coughing for several days due to poor air quality before Xiaojinghua's arrival. But her robust youth had allowed her to recover without medication. Now, however, it became a subject of jest for Cheng, and Nani emerged from the kitchen with a knife, half a fruit in hand, and through gritted teeth warned, "Xiaojinghua, go back to your room, or you might end up splattered with blood." Xiaojinghua squinted his eyes, amusedly watching the playful banter. Chang'an hid behind Hien, exaggerating. "Listen to her. Your voice sounds worse than a few days ago. What on earth have you been doing to sound like that?" Hien reproached him. "Why must you be so improper?" Chang'an circled around Hien's hair, frivolously responding, "I would like to be proper, but who would believe me?" Hien continued to complain. Chairman Xiao's competitive spirit is directed solely at Sister Nani. A few days ago, a male candidate applied at Chang'an's company, highly qualified in every respect. We exchanged a few words in our group chat, but Sister Nani likely had no time to glance at it. Then Chairman Xiao suddenly exclaimed, "Is he skipping grades?" Oh my, the way he boasted. There was another instance when, 2 years prior, during Chang'an's visit to Kabul, the courtyard's crabapple blossoms were in full bloom. We remarked on how splendid the flowers were, adding beauty to the courtyard. Chairman Xiao dismissed it, saying it was nothing remarkable, lacking a trace of fragrance, and the blossoms seemed to have flown too far. Su Shi penned 43 poems praising crabapples as the queen of flowers, yet in Chairman Xiao's eyes, they could not compare to your ephemeral spirit. Having spoken, Hien cast a wistful glance at Chang'an, who was seated beside Xiaojinghua, and turned to question him. "How do you expect the brothers to explain this at home because of your actions?" Xiaojinghua cleared his throat twice, his voice slightly hoarse, and replied nonchalantly, "Your difficult days are yet to come." Chapter 72, The Wedding. After deliberation with Nani, Xiaojinghua ultimately set their wedding date for September 5th. A date of significance. On September 5th, 2006, Tsinghua University and Xiaha Hospital merged, marking the day of their first encounter. A decade later, they would finally fulfill their wishes on this very day. In early July, after completing her graduation thesis, Nani officially concluded her exchange program at Cambridge and returned to Xiaha to report back. When the date was confirmed, Xiaojinghua gathered with a few childhood friends beneath the eaves of the courtyard. It was a summer afternoon, and the elegant fragrance of lotus blossoms wafted through the air, mingling with the chirping of insects. Having spent considerable time with them, Hien felt free to jest. Now the floral fragrance is not lacking. Brother Xiao can be deemed quite satisfied. Xiaojinghua merely smiled, contentedly fanning himself, resembling an elderly gentleman leisurely enjoying life in the courtyard of the capital. However, when Nani requested wedding leave at her workplace, Director Li, while genuinely happy for his apprentice, could not resist a bit of teasing. Once the festivities are over, hurry back to work. You have quite the nerve, being away for 2 years, and not one of the interns has been worth a mention. Thus, Nani, upon returning from London, diligently maintained her position until the end of August. One day, she carried an Hermes grocery bag filled with red wedding candy boxes, distributing them in the surgical department. In the blink of an eye, Nani had spent 6 years in the surgical department, having arrived as a girl in need of care, sending off numerous interns, and now standing as a competent attending physician. While the department was filled with top-tier academic talents, each individual held differing sentiments. Nani's wedding, which appeared to be a grand affair, had already transformed into fodder for gossip among various individuals. Behind the fervent well-wishes lay either genuine affection or insincere sentiments, often tinged with the coldness of human nature that resents the success of others. From the moment Xiao Jinghua brought Shen Jiayi into the VIP ward, to the widely circulated love story in the news, even though Nani rarely donned luxury brands or flaunted wealth, she could not halt her ascent in her career. People paid no heed to the countless efforts Nani had exerted and were disinclined to understand the context of her achievements, instead choosing to deceive themselves into believing her success stemmed from her connections with the powerful. Only Zhao Jing, upon receiving the wedding sweets, radiated joy, eagerly unwrapping one end. With her mouth full, inquired, "Is there anything you need help with? Don't be shy. I still have some strength." Recently, Zhao Jing had a falling out with Wang Moyun. When they encountered each other in the department, they exchanged no words. Both in their 30s, their adult tempers had turned to silence, making their relationship seem less fervent. Nani teasingly remarked, "How about I play matchmaker? This stalemate isn't a solution." Zhao Jing retorted with a dismissive glance, "I fear they might compare themselves to you. But you can rest easy. I have never been fragile." He overestimates his family background. Compared to Chairman Xiao, he truly has nothing to lament. Feeling embarrassed by Zhao Jing's words, Nani took it upon herself to have a private conversation with Wang Moyun before leaving the hospital. They met again at the entrance of the inpatient department, where Wang Moyun stood before her, still somewhat awkward. Nani directly asked, "If you and Sister Zhao have long-term intentions, then you shouldn't engage in a cold war. If you let things drift, it will only lead to a cooling of feelings. Why not resolve things face to face?" Wang Moyun gazed at her for a moment before chuckling. "She is not bad, but she is not particularly good either." Nani frowned at him, feeling a surge of anger. "Then do not waste Sister Zhao's time. She is already 35. If you delay her further, what will she do in the future?" Wang Moyun, adjusting his glasses awkwardly, explained, "You misunderstand. I do not intend to be irresponsible. I simply cannot muster the enthusiasm to address the conflict." Nani, indignant, retorted, "If you only feel that you should find a girlfriend at your age, you must clarify that with Sister Zhao. She is looking to marry. And since you have no such intentions, why not make it clear before getting together? We work in the same department. Wang Moyun, what are you thinking?" As her emotions escalated, she poked Wang Moyun's shoulder with her finger, watching as the bewildered man hunched his shoulders in silence. Nani felt it was unfair to Zhao Jing, realizing that further discussion would be futile, and coolly stated, "Senior brother, think it over carefully. After all these years of friendship, let us not allow it to be squandered." As she was leaving, she noticed an Audi parked not far away, and inside, Chen Qinghua awkwardly poked his head out, waving repeatedly. Reminiscent of that year when he invited Nani and Meng Zi into the car at the Film Academy's entrance. The male occupant of the car, looking through the front windshield, observed this interlude with a steady gaze. As Nani prepared to depart, Wang Moyun pressed a red envelope into her hand, leaving her surprised. Wang Moyun lowered his head and adjusted his glasses once more, uttering a few auspicious words as congratulations. "I have a surgery on your wedding day, so I may not be able to attend. It's not much, but it is a token of my goodwill." Nani pinched the envelope, feeling its thickness, about 20,000, which was not insignificant among colleagues. Suddenly, she felt the envelope grow warm in her hands. Wang Moyun clarified, "Consider it a joint gift from Zhao Jing and me. Please do not feel burdened by it." Right. Holai Zhao Jing spent her own share alone, and Wang Moyun's thoughts came to an end the moment Nani turned to leave. He recalled the year 2010, when the youngest sister in the department captured the attention of everyone as she entered the office. The sunlight that day illuminated her swaying ponytail, enveloping her in a soft glow. Over the course of 6 years, she spent a third of her time abroad, while Xiao Jinghua was absent during those years. She resembled a relentless work machine, breaking records for surgical durations and the number of operations in the department. He thought this girl was likely still oblivious to love. Little did he know, each time she visited Xiao Jinghua, she rushed to see him. For instance, when Xiao Jinghua's car was parked not far behind them, Nani would eagerly take the red envelope and dash towards that man, without exception. Wang Moyun lingered at the entrance of the inpatient department for a long time, smiling faintly. He felt it was time to give Zhao Jing an explanation. Simplicity is the essence of life. The wedding was held at the Daoyitai Hotel in Xiqing District, an ancient building that housed a collection of royal gardens and was later transformed into a state banquet venue. Although they initially intended to follow Nani's idea of selecting a romantic location, the wedding in the country had to take place here. Numerous officials of rank X and above attended. Nevertheless, Xiao Jinghua still regretfully suggested, "Let's go to province, have Cheng'an and the others join us, and we can hold another wedding." At that moment, Nani seemed to have an aversion to romance, merely wanting to reassure him, countering, "It's exhausting enough to get married once. Do you really want to put me through it again?" As these words were spoken on the eve of their wedding, the two of them left their family and friends behind, relaxing in the courtyard of a traditional courtyard house. The evening breeze gently caressed them as Xiao Jinghua playfully tousled her hair, teasing her for being an ungrateful little one who didn't mind the effort he put in, only wanting to leave her with beautiful memories. She, however, lounged in the rattan chair, contentedly swaying his folding fan, proudly declaring, "We have far too many memories." Before they could relish the moment for 5 minutes, Mengzi came along, chattering away and whisking her off. "You're getting married tomorrow. Can't you spend one night together? You have to be with family today, and according to tradition, you two can't meet. I'm taking her away, Xiao Dong, bear with it." With that, Mengzi forcibly led Nani back to the hotel, awaiting the next day's ceremony. Once the guests departed, the courtyard returned to a serene silence. Before bedtime, Xiao Jinghua rarely wandered along the covered corridor to the lotus pond. The lotus flowers had already bloomed and withered, leaving only the green leaves that sparkled with dewdrops under the moonlight. He recalled a summer when Nani had driven him home, both intoxicated, likely during this very season. He felt the pang of this brief separation acutely. In recent years, whenever they were in the capital, they had certainly lived together. Now, however, she was in a hotel room with her parents, while Xiao Jinghua unconsciously tapped his fan against the railing. When Yang Kai arrived at the courtyard to deliver the guest list, he saw Xiao Jinghua shaking his fan, listlessly wandering through the flower-laden archway, his silhouette exuding solitude. Yang Kai teasingly remarked, "Bro, are you missing the girl?" Xiao Jinghua shot him a cold glance, preparing to scold him, but Yang Kai quickly said, "The venue is all set, so don't worry." Xiao Jinghua smiled faintly and said nothing further. As Yang Kai left, he discreetly called Nani and snuck her out of the hotel. That night, the sky was high and clear, with the moonlight like water. It poured through the glass panes shaped like begonia flowers, spilling onto the ground. Xiao Jinghua lay in bed, listening to the chorus of frogs. When he heard a gentle tapping on the glass, he looked up to find Nani, clad in loungewear, stealthily knocking on the door. He chuckled, wondering what time she planned to return in the morning. He got up to open the door, and Nani leaped into his arms, joyfully embracing him. As if each time she saw him, she burst with excitement. "It's all Meng Zi's fault," she mumbled, watching me from across the room. "But what can I do? I have a good father." Xiao Jinghua smiled and replied, "Who told you to come over at night? You need to get up early tomorrow." Nani tilted her head back in his embrace, grinning, and said, "I heard from Yang Kai that a certain Mr. Xiao was all alone by the lotus pond." Feeling sorry for himself, and even wore out his fan, Xiao Jinghua held her waist steadily, feigning ignorance. "Wasn't he at hot? Oh, in such a big house. The air conditioning must be insufficient. Stop being so smug. If you don't sleep now, tomorrow's wedding will be a disaster." That was September 5th, 2016. A day of brilliant sunshine in the capital, with 10 miles of long streets adorned in red walls and orange tiles. It was the day they became husband and wife. In the city they loved. Chapter 73. Side story. In 2011, perhaps a year after their breakup, Xiao Shouzhong ultimately succumbed to illness, passing away in the early autumn season before his son. A news article circulated in the domestic section, portraying the elder generation, who had once shed blood for this land, as their social media accounts were forcibly muted. After handling the elder's funeral, Xiao Jinghua drove Cheng'an's car alone and parked it beneath the building of the Xia Hospital. The person who was supposed to leave work at 5:30 stayed until the early hours of the morning before finally exiting the hospital. The night breeze seemed to carry a sense of melancholy, blowing with a mournful chill. The moon hung like a crescent hook in the sky, quietly asleep, casting a cool white glow. Xiao Jinghua sat in the car for 7 hours, recalling his father's withered hands and the festering sores on his body. A man who had fought valiantly on the battlefield, commanding respect and glory. In his final moments, like all elders, reminisced about the past, and, holding Xiao Jinghua's hand, let go of his pride, murmuring, "In this life, there are some things I owe you." The ashtrays in the car were filled with discarded cigarette butts. And as the night deepened, Xiao Jinghua noticed Nani emerging from the hospital entrance, instinctively rolling up the window. He thought to himself, perhaps the little girl was feeling a bit better now, at least better than when she was with him. However, on the silent street, that girl looked as thin as a ghost. She wandered alone through the dark alleys of the night, showing no intention of taking a taxi. Like a spirit returning home to convey a dream, Xiao Jinghua had intended to seek a ray of light to warm himself, but was taken aback by the state of the person before him. She was not living well, far from the decisive demeanor she exhibited when she openly confronted him. The cold wind swept through, making one hunch their shoulders, casting aside the clamor of the day, leaving only the dazzling streetlights flickering on either side. At the end of a commercial street, Nani stood outside the towering Chinese iron gate of Yihao Courtyard, staring blankly for a long while. Xiao Jinghua wanted to get out of the car to embrace her, to ask if she missed home. Yet, One was in a distant car, while the other braved the autumn chill, and they could no longer rush towards each other as they once did, unreservedly. At that moment, Xiao Jinghua had been married for 4 months, while Nani, upon hearing the happy news that night, specifically adjusted her shift to work overnight at the hospital. Gazing at the ever-changing moonlight, it seemed that the strange rumors of midnight shifts at the hospital held no terror for her. Later on, Xiao Jinghua snuck in a few more times, only to find that aside from night shifts, she rarely left the hospital before late at night. Eventually, Xiao Jinghua unexpectedly discovered on QQ that she had begun to play games, specifically a popular keyboard game at the time, QQ Insu. On a similar late night, Xiao Jinghua found himself alone in the office of Jinhua Group, with not a single staff member in sight. He had asked Yang Kai to create a new account for him, logging into the game and searching for Nani's name, anxiously awaiting her response. His unease subsided only when Nani accepted his friend request. Xiao Jinghua, can we team up? I'm a novice and not very skilled. Nani, this game is quite simple. I'll guide you for a few days, and you'll master it in no time. Thus, they played several rounds that day. Nani, I have to log off now. I need to work tomorrow. Xiao Jinghua glanced at the computer clock, 2 o'clock a.m. Xiao Jinghua, you stay up so late even before work. Nani, I can't sleep. I often suffer from insomnia. Well, I must go now. See you. With that, her QQ avatar dimmed, and Xiao Jinghua instinctively reached for a cigarette. Yang Kai always advised him to cut back on smoking, but it was of little use. He remembered how Nani, once a heavy sleeper, would be unresponsive to alarms, and during holidays, he would tease her, only to be met with a stern expression. Now, she was enduring nights like this, and if she were doing well, perhaps he would not be so concerned. Yet, she had turned her life into a haunting spectacle. By the end of 2011, as long as he remained in Beijing, Xiao Jinghua would wait for Nani to log on late at night. She was like a caring senior, having reached the sun level in the game, only to lower herself to the moon level to team with him. It wasn't until the spring of 2012 that Nani told him after a gaming session, "You no longer need anyone to guide you. I've just started a research project and won't have time to play anymore. By the way, I've been meaning to say, your name has a Taoist essence, though it sounds a bit old-fashioned." Xiao Jinghua stared at the screen, his heart tumultuous. After a moment's reflection, he typed the name into the game. He laughed heartily at the keyboard, but the chasm within him only widened. Then, focus on your work and take care of your health, he replied. Nani, sitting before her computer, read his polite words, and unexpectedly, tears welled in her eyes. She hurriedly logged off. From that moment onward, her sun avatar never illuminated again. That spring, Xiao Jinghua and Wang Chengyan engaged in a frenzied accumulation of wealth. The Shin family even believed their son-in-law to be a greedy capitalist. Yet, little of Xiao Jinghua's earnings found their way into his own pockets. In June 2012, news of the Luan family's joyous occasion spread throughout Beijing. He did not attend the wedding, merely sending a gift through Yang Kai. When Yang Kai returned, he hesitated, and Xiao Jinghua furrowed his brows, urging him to speak. Yang Kai said, I saw Dr. Zheng. He was writing accounts for someone else, and he didn't look like his former self. Xiao Jinghua stared at Yang Kai until the latter felt a chill on his back. Yang Kai added, perhaps the young man has moved on. Before Xiao Jinghua could react, Yang Kai quickly exited the chairman's office. In October 2012, during the deep autumn, it was Nani's birthday. That year, Xiao Jinghua visited Xia Hospital for the first time, expecting her to leave work early for her birthday, but she still did not finish until 10:30 p.m. Nani wandered into a noodle shop alone, ordering a bowl of noodles. Xiao Jinghua parked across the street, and, through the shop's floor-to-ceiling windows, saw her staring at the television, tears streaming down her face. The shop owner approached, anxiously inquiring if there was an issue with the noodles. Nani hurriedly explained, no. I just got something in my eye from watching TV, before quickly settling her bill and exiting. After she left, Xiao Jinghua returned to the shop and asked the owner, what was that girl crying about? The owner, taken aback by Xiao Jinghua's striking features and cold demeanor, simply pointed at the television, saying she was watching the news. I was surprised that news could be so moving. Xiao Jinghua glanced at the screen, where a news segment reported on his recent acquisition of a local enterprise. He swiftly exited the restaurant, searching for her, but she had long vanished. He stood in the cold wind for a while, instinctively reaching for a cigarette, but suddenly lost the desire to smoke. That night, he made a decision. Since she was suffering so much, he would no longer wait. Thus began his path toward a divorce by agreement. In October 2017, during the deep autumn, the streets were adorned with golden ginkgo leaves, carpeting the red walls beneath the imperial city. After the northern autumn sun's warmth, walking on them produced a crisp rustle. It was Nani's birthday, and after 7 years at Xia, she was officially entering the promotion stage to associate chief physician. Everyone gathered in a courtyard to celebrate her birthday that evening. The villa they had purchased upon marriage was seldom visited, as they lived like reclusive elders, content in their secluded world. Wang Chengyan had also begun to revel in this tranquil lifestyle, often inviting He Yin to join them. As everyone waited for the guest of honor to finish work, Xiao Jinghua squinted, reminiscing about the girl who had dined alone with a bowl of noodles 5 years prior, as if years had passed. Xiao Jinghua's phone vibrated on the table, Nani sent a message informing him that she was on her way from the inpatient department. Xiao Jinghua stood and walked to the flower-adorned corridor, where he spotted Luan Xinqing pacing while on the phone. Upon noticing Xiao Jinghua, Luan Xinqing hurriedly ended the call, standing awkwardly under the wide eaves and saying, "Let us go out to greet Nani." The wall behind the main entrance was intricately carved, its patterns accentuated by the dim light, exuding a timeless charm. Xiao Jinghua, now 35 years old, had shed the youthful brashness of his earlier days. With a smile, he remarked, "The road in front is a bit secluded. Let us go out to welcome her." Aside from Xiao Jinghua, Luan Xinqing was one of the few who had spent considerable time with Nani. As a senior 2 years her elder at Shiha Medical College, he had been a part of her life for 6 years. In terms of duration, Luan Xinqing might not be lesser than Xiao Jinghua. However, love was never a matter of mere accumulation. Particularly during the period when Nani and Xiao Jinghua had a falling out, all their conflicts had centered around Luan Xinqing. At that time, Xiao Jinghua preferred to harbor resentment towards Luan Xinqing rather than towards the girl, resulting in a cold standoff between the two men. It wasn't until the wedding that Luan Xinqing had approached Xiao Jinghua privately. At that time, Xu Tong had just become pregnant, and Luan Xinqing, having indulged in a few extra drinks, had loosened his scholarly demeanor. "You must understand, Nani is the youngest girl in our school. We have all taken care of her like half-brothers and half-fathers, never daring to overstep until you appeared. Back then, you were humorously dubbed the flower thief at our school." Xiao Jinghua had smiled modestly at the memory. In a half-joking tone, Luan Xinqing became serious, saying, "Those of us who were once young and rebellious are now settling down. And very few can achieve what you have. She made no mistake in choosing you." Yet now, lacking the influence of alcohol, Luan Xinqing felt awkward before Xiao Jinghua, pausing for several seconds before casually asking, "Why haven't you two had a child? Nani is fine, but you aren't getting any younger." Xiao Jinghua glanced at him with a sidelong glance, contemplating how, regardless of the moment, Luan Jishu's words always had the power to ignite frustration. Maintaining an ordinary demeanor, a mischievous thought flickered in his mind as he remarked, "You are 37 now, right? Your child is already a year old." Luan Xinqing nodded slightly, only to hear Xiao Jinghua continue, "When you graduated, he was merely 20 years old. Had there been no misunderstandings between us, I suppose your child would be in elementary school by now." "Oh, no, if they take after their mother. They would likely be in the 3rd or 4th grade by now." Observing Xiao Jinghua's triumphant expression, Luan Xinqing furrowed his brow and replied helplessly, "Mr. Xiao, you truly have to excel in every matter." At that moment, the headlights of Nani's car illuminated the man before them. Xiao Jinghua's tall figure, with sharp facial features, exuded the rugged charm characteristic of a northeastern man. Upon noticing her car parked in front of the yard, he graciously approached, embracing the joyful figure that came rushing toward him. In Luan Xinqing's eyes, this renowned neurosurgeon, one of the best in the nation, appeared eternally as an 18-year-old maiden whenever she stood before Xiao Jinghua. He smiled with envy and quietly retreated into the depths of the courtyard. Xiao Jinghua and Nani nestled together as they walked deeper into the courtyard, the yellow light casting warm and ambiguous shadows along the walls, muffling the cacophony of voices from the hall. Xiao Jinghua kissed her forehead, saying, "Aside from gifts, do you have any wishes you would like to express? Today, I am in a good mood and would like to fulfill them all." The present he referred to was a custom piece ordered from London 3 months prior, now quietly resting in the main room. Nani appeared delighted, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Xiao Jinghua, don't you have any wishes? Perhaps I can fulfill one for you too." Upon hearing this, Xiao Jinghua chuckled, his hand on her shoulder becoming increasingly playful, a wicked grin forming. "Oh, how open-minded of you, my lady." Nani raised her eyebrows with a playful smile, having spent ample time with him, shamelessly mirroring his demeanor. "Indeed, I have a gift for you as well." Xiao Jinghua pondered her ceaseless clever antics. "It's your birthday. How can you have a gift for me?" Nani tilted her head, her fair face radiant, and earnestly asked, "Do you want it or not?" Xiao Jinghua laughed at her. "What scheme are you concocting now?" Nani slipped her hand into the side pocket of her pants, producing a thin report and gazing into his eyes filled with warmth. Xiao Jinghua's attention remained fixated on Nani's face as he curiously accepted the delicate report. Nani, with a proud tilt of her head, wore a bold expression. "I had blood tests done at the hospital before telling you. Xiao Jinghua, you are going to be a father." Xiao Jinghua paused for a moment, studying her, then scrutinizing the report. He was momentarily at a loss for words. At that moment, Cheng Yun, growing impatient, turned into the corridor and found Xiao Jinghua in a daze, clutching a piece of paper. Recognizing the gravity of the situation from their years of friendship, he swiftly retreated and covered Chen Qinghua's mouth, dragging him back. Chen Qinghua protested along the way, "Why are you pulling me? I was taking you to admire the moon. Are you out of your mind? What do 2 men need to admire the moon for? Enough with the nonsense, just do as I say." The voices faded behind the towering brick walls. Xiao Jinghua's eyes glistened slightly, and Nani cradled his face, smiling gently. "Daddy of our child, our little one has returned to us. You must work harder and treat us well." Xiao Jinghua regained his composure and tightly embraced Nani, their warmth intertwined like 2 heartbeats. He raised his hand, gently wiping the corner of his eye, his voice deep and filled with tenderness. From now on, it will be the two of us taking good care of you. Nani tilted her head, kissing his jawline, her eyes sparkling with determination as she spoke softly yet resolutely. Xiao Jinghua, I am so happy to marry you. It is the happiest thing in this life. Xiao Jinghua responded solemnly. Thank you, for completing my love. They shared a passionate kiss, their affection as vibrant and intense as the crimson maple leaves tinged by frost in October. There is a saying in Apple Notebook, when you ask me why I cannot love you more calmly, I reply that loving you calmly means not loving you at all. Her nature was gentle, but her love was fervent. Amidst the glow of humanity and the dancing shadows of the night, each of his I love you resonated like a fervent blaze on cold nights. She was the moonlight lost in Beiping, the elusive dream he sought in slumber. Chapter 75 Epilogue. This is merely a piece of writing without much substance, intended as a tribute to my readers and to my nascent self in the writing industry. Initially, I aimed to craft a story born from many past regrets. Life is full of regrets, as when we are forced into action, events unfold randomly, influenced by countless objective factors such as the family we are born into or the kind of person we become. What kind of life we aspire to live may remain unclear even after one has crossed the threshold of 60. Recently, a friend of mine has been enamored with someone who is traveling a path that any discerning eye can see leads to a known conclusion. Despite all advice, he remains impervious to reason. In truth, awareness and perspective are the rarest treasures for the young. In youth, courage is abundant yet inexpensive. However, most individuals who genuinely possess these two traits have already crossed into adulthood, struggling at the bottom of society, enduring hardships. And only through scars can they comprehend that many paths once traversed were unnecessary. At that time, their own abilities did not allow for better choices. I recall a saying, that the essence of one's life is rooted within oneself. Thus, the perfection depicted in stories captivates hearts. Perhaps this is a tale meant for myself, and also for contemporary web literature readers. I acknowledge my many shortcomings, and at times, in the rush to complete manuscripts, I overlook various characterizations and plot issues, failing to present my envisioned characters as effectively as I would like, and not meeting the expectations of my readers. This is an imperfect story, with half-truths woven into its narrative, yet it conveys a certain sentiment. I believe that not all disparities in social class will result in an elevated position for some, while others dwell in obscurity. Not all lovers will confront the myriad divergent paths of life, where one heads towards the picturesque Shaoxiang while the other pursues the Qing. The resolution of such disparities depends on the mindset and determination of the individual, as well as the reasons behind their choices. Once again, I assert that awareness and perspective are the determining factors in how far a person can go. Some may counter that providing a young person with a broader perspective and insight is not something an ordinary family can achieve. I agree. How can parents, who themselves live with only a fleeting understanding, impart wisdom to their children? Thus, very few ordinary children emerge as butterflies from their cocoons. Many simply follow the worn paths of their parents, clinging to outdated notions, only to be labeled as incompetent by their parents, who are essentially berating themselves through their children. Ultimately, we must learn to genuinely understand ourselves in life, choose a path suited to our own, reconcile with ourselves, and disregard the clamor of the outside world, focusing on being our true selves. We should await the moment we transform into butterflies, even if that day never comes. At least we are not disturbed by the cacophony of external voices, nor entangled by baseless vanity, but rather accept our imperfect selves with grace and honesty. When we are strong within ourselves, we can then seek a partner. At this point, love can appear dignified. At the very least, it is love, not a demand. Frida once articulated a poignant phrase, only one mountain understands another mountain. Here, the term mountain should not merely be construed as a measure of altitude, but rather as a reflection of essence, spiritual strength, and the very soul. Much like the conclusion of a tale, I often find myself dreaming of the red walls and orange tiles of Jiucheng, envisioning those individuals who continue to strive to embody a form that brings mutual pride,